rotten hooker.
I thought I was a good Christian.
I go to church every Sunday.
I thought I was a good Christian.
I go to church every Sunday. I am a very religious person.
I thought I was a good Christian.
The very lies the serpent told to Eve in the Garden of Eden. Garden of Eden. Garden of Eden. The gospel of Jesus Christ spreads confusion and promotes lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ spreads confusion and promotes lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ spreads confusion and promotes lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ spreads confusion and promotes lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ.
That just never gets old. I love it. Hey, everybody. Today is May 16th. Welcome back to another episode of This Non-Religious Life. I'm Bob. With me is Ken in picture form only.
There he is.
Woo! Yeah, picture form. I am
But that is
two-dimensional
a
and
dapper
not
picture, I
animated.
must say. You look damn fine.
Thank you.
And Jason. Let's not forget our stalwart
What up?
producer, tech guy, cable man.
Cable man.
He's the cable guy.
Anyway,
He enables us.
I'm an enabler. That's right.
He is.
Enabler.
So,
Yay!
our last episode was January 20th. Today is May 16th. Somehow, some way, we've managed to get our shit together.
We built a time machine. We
So-
jumped from there to here.
Right? It seems like it was yesterday.
Yeah. Do you know now it's been almost exactly 2 years since that first broadcast that was part of Talking Dead.
That's right, because it was May 21st, right? It was the Rapture
Yeah,
Day.
it was a little before May 21st that we had that debate, and then we debuted the show. So it's been almost 2 years, and a few little hiccups along the way, with moving and life. But it looks like we're back. We're all gonna
God, life
get back on
sucks.
here.
Yeah, back every week now. We're going to try
Yeah.
to start doing it every week.
Yes.
We're going to go back to live. So, we're starting off with This Non-Religious Life. We'll bring back The Talking Dead and other shows as well. But we're just going to get this one going because we've had a lot of feedback from people.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll have technical problems.
We never
that'll
have
make
technical
things awful,
issues.
but we'll persevere. Somehow.
And just to let people know, because we do read your comments and we do take them at heart. Bob has a pop protector.
Look at that! See, right here. I even got it in like a vibrant blue color so it would stand out. I looked for hot pink, but they didn't have it, so I bought blue.
Because you needed it. and we
So
listened.
am I popping? Am
No,
am I
you're
powerful
actually
keys?
really, really
I
good.
sound good.
Yeah.
All right, that's good.
Yeah, it's
I like
about
that.
fucking
That's-
time.
God damn it!
2 years later.
Why you gotta hate, man? Why you gotta hate?
All right, let's do this show.
All right. So we were pretty excited about getting the show up and running again, and Bob was particularly enthusiastic and threw out a good number of things we could talk about. First thing I wanted to talk about actually though is we had some comments. We had one person on our YouTube that's been posting a lot of things specifically. And I can read some of them. This is Why Not 496, who was feverishly commenting on the ABECA science curriculum, which was posted, when? September 11th of 2012, so
A little less than
9
a
months
year
ago?
But his comments are recent, so
Yeah.
that's the sort of
Yeah,
the beauty of these
Well,
archived
some of them. I mean,
episodes.
one of them goes back 4 months ago, and then we got Becca Lee talking, and
Yep.
yeah. Well, yeah. Anyway, then Why Not comes back and starts talking about other things, and it's funny because one of the things he says is he says, "You have no idea what you're talking about. I've studied and worked in genetics for years. I have firsthand experience. Unlike you, there are many contradictory theories, or quote unquote, all caps, yelling scientific explanations regarding evolution out there, if you treat evolutionary theory as something like genetics, or something like genetics as fact, you are clearly desperate for facts to support your weak beliefs. I find it really funny, and I mean, has no idea what any of us do over the internet. But it'd be funny, and it makes me almost want to reach out to my friend Megan, who is a geneticist, and ask her to come on the show.
We should ask
genetics.
why not if they want to be on the show. I'd love to find out where, like, what did they do in this? What is this genetics work that they've done that has provided such insight? Because, like, isn't it like, you know, just the vast majority of scientists, specifically biological scientists, don't have these questions or they don't have these objections to evolution.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, it's funny because you know, this person's claiming that they worked and studied genetics for years, but then in the next comment goes on to say, creationists and evolutionists use the same scientific information, and if you, which is horrifically incorrect, and if you actually think evolutionists only use proven fact and not theory, then you should be forced to take back a science curriculum. This is the giveaway for me that this person is just completely just talking utter bullshit. If you don't know the difference between the idea of a theory and the idea of individual fact sets, there is absolutely no way you ever studied, let alone worked in any scientific field. Zero. Like rule number one is that facts and theories are not things that are at odds with one another. You have facts, you have pieces of data, and then you have theories that explain how the facts all correlate to each other.
Sure. And the theory is the best explanation at the time.
Yeah, no, it is an absolute understanding of all of the fact sets you have, all of the available data, and while being contradicted by none of the data.
Yeah.
That is a theory. That is the definition of a theory. And it's like when creationists have absolutely fail at even just the semantics of science, there's no way you can take them seriously to talk about the nitty-gritty of science.
Well, you know, it was funny that this why not person starts commenting, because I think in an earlier comment or another comment, I saw them bring up this idea of specified complexity, and then I saw it again in this other post that was completely unrelated on like some Facebook topic. So I started looking into it, and I wanted to find out what. Apparently, specified complexity is this new, dressed-up, intelligent design argument, and it was new to me. I had not seen it before, and let's be clear on one thing: that no matter what they say or what the ID proponents say, is that intelligent design is merely warmed over creationism. And,
oh, it absolutely is.
And specified
you know,
complexity is just another hyped up, dressed up version of intelligent design.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I've been looking it over, and I'm very familiar with irreducible complexity because of its role in the Kitzmiller versus Dover case. You know, that was really the first time I ever heard of it. Well, I'd actually never heard of specified complexity here.
Well,
but it looks like irreducible complexity, but just dealing with complex systems and the idea of, you know, what's the chance of certain things happening, and it's trumped up math that doesn't even make sense. Like, I've taken stats courses. I was a sociology major. I took stats. I understand statistics, and none of this makes sense. And I think it's telling that Martin Nowak, who is the Harvard professor of mathematics and evolutionary biology, called this whole thing out, saying, we can't calculate the probability that an eye would come about. We don't have the information to make those sort of calculations.
Well, I think that specified complexity has got to be, it's funny, like just watching the creationist / intelligent design crowds, watching their arguments evolve is just sort of, it like their arguments are evolving, and like that whole process is taking place, and they don't even sort of realize it. But specified complexity.
Do you think there's an irony there?
Yeah, right. I know it is ironic. As far as I can see, specified complexity is just the next iteration of intelligent design arguments, because irreducible complexity has been sort of shot down, right? Irreducible complexity is where they said that, you take the eye and lose any one component and it no longer works. And that's not really true, because even if your eye worked 50% or 10% or 1%, a 1% eye is better than a no percent eye. And you can even look in other organisms and see that they have primitive eyes, and you can see, in other species, the evolution of the eye. I mean, we sort of understand how the eye evolved. Now, specified complexity comes along, and it wants to, move the goalpost a bit, and so it's like specified complexity comes along, and they do what you said, like it's trumped up math. It's math that's not even acknowledged as being very good. And they hold something up like the eye, and they say, see, it's so complicated that the odds of it evolving in the manner that you speak, in unguided processes, is so infinitesimally small that it could never happen. And so, hence, there must have been some guiding hand, a divine force, God. And I think that's a fallacious argument, in that I don't care how...
it's
it's
ridiculous. It's a ridiculous argument.
The odds of winning the lottery, the last time I checked, were like 1 in 175 million, which is very small. Now, maybe it's not as small as the odds of an eye developing, but it's still very, very small. And yet, someone wins the lottery every week.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's the idea, and this is what it is. They take large numbers, and they say, "Oh my God, that's so, it's almost impossible." And it's like, yeah, maybe it is almost impossible, but almost impossible things happen all the time, but they still happen.
Well, that's
the odd of a snowflake landing on top of my house, rather than, or let alone in the specific spot it lands, whereas all the other places it could possibly land is ridiculously small. The chance of a particular photon hitting, something just at the right angle to refract into a certain way is ridiculously small. Like, ridiculously small things happen. The universe is gigantic. The eye has evolved 8 separate times on this planet.
Yeah. And I think Dawkins handles this argument too, and taking it from sort of a different approach. Because not only are there large numbers of players involved, but there's also lots and lots of time. Meaning, like where he says, like I think the odds of, he makes a poker analogy. The odds of getting dealt a royal flush, just being dealt straight out a royal flush in poker, is like 1 in 650,000 or thereabouts. And so you could play poker professionally 50 hands a night every day of your life since you were born until you were 80 years old and never be dealt a royal flush. But if you live to be 8,000 years old or 80,000 years old, if we get into large time frames, then you would consider being dealt a royal flush in poker just another occurrence. You would be surprised if it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So when you increase the number of players involved,
numbers,
I mean that's the thing. Like, how many organisms are on the planet at any given instance, and how long have they been there? Over eons, thousands of years, millions of players, billions of years. Those odds suddenly don't seem so bad.
Yeah. No, and that's exactly it. Plus, you're talking about evolution is life forms adapting to their surroundings, and one of the constants in our world is the presence of the visible spectrum of light. Between infrared to ultraviolet, that spectrum of light is an almost constant. Even at night, there are trace amounts of that. And it acts as a good manner for free-moving organisms to be able to tell what is around them and what they can get out of those things or what they should avoid.
That's sort of an interesting take on it too, because the visible spectrum, what we consider the visible spectrum, is like the tiniest sliver of the whole electromagnetic spectrum. And there are creatures out there, birds, butterflies, insects, reptiles, there's a whole bunch, that they can see outside of what we consider the visible spectrum. So they see colors that we don't even have names for because we don't know what they look like.
Yeah, it's actually funny. Very recently, I was actually just reading an article. There's scientists that are looking into people who have not 3 cones, but 4 cones. And they actually found a woman who has a 4th working cone in her eye. And it allows her to see like 99 million colors more than the average person. Like colors that we don't even have names for.
Right, that's the point. Like if you saw it, you would go, "Oh, it's kind of blue or kind of green." No, it's not. You don't even have a name for it. We don't even know what it looks. You don't know what it looks like.
Yeah, yeah. It would look just like another color that you already know. And there are creatures out there, like dogs only have 2 cones. They can see blues and they can see greens. Humans have the ability to see reds too, which allows a huge spectrum. The butterflies have 5 cones. The mantis shrimp has 16 cones.
You've been reading the oatmeal too, haven't you?
Yes, I have. It's fantastic. I sat down. I saw that was amazing.
Yeah.
And I started doing all this research about like cones in the eye and like how complex the eye is. Because you have rods that give you general idea of like brightness of light, and then you have cones that give you an idea of where in the spectrum that light is.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I knew bees had I think 5 cones because the bees can see into the ultraviolet.
Right.
Someone who's colorblind, like a man who's colorblind has 2 working cones and a mutant cone that doesn't work. And it's usually I think it's the green cone.
Well, see there,
And
he's
the
got
guy
a part
can't
of the
distinguish between
eye.
blue and green.
There's a part of his eye that doesn't work. They've taken it away, and yet it still functions. It doesn't function as good as the 100% of an eye, but it has been reduced, and it still functions.
Yeah.
Checkmate.
Yeah. I mean, all of the irreducible complexity is just ridiculous. But specified complexity, when you're talking about evolution, you're not talking about a random event, and that's what it tries to make this out to be. It tries to make
and that's the other part of
these
the
ideas
argument that I
random
think
events.
is wrong, is that they say like, oh, well, these are just random events. No, they're not. They're not random events. The whole process is guided by natural selection. That's the part that gets left out. They just go like, oh, well, it randomly happens. Like, no, it doesn't. It's guided
It's a series
by
of random events guided in a
My
direction.
God.
Yeah. My God.
You have random mutations. You have, dozens and dozens and dozens of random mutations. Every generation of any life form has dozens of mutations. Some of those mutations are just nothing. They're nonsense. They become worthless. Some of them are hindrances, and some of them it might just slightly be advantageous, and when they are, nature selects for those.
Right.
With the evolution of human skin pigment, as people, 187,000 years ago, humans evolved in a very small area of the Rift Valley in Africa, and then they slowly moved north. And as they moved north, the sun wasn't quite as intense. And, even when you're in one spot, all the people there have different color skin tones, just ever so slightly different pigmentations. But as they moved north and the sun wasn't as intense, people with darker skin tones would develop vitamin D deficiencies. The men would become poorer hunters because of rickets. Women would often die in childbirth, killing not just them, but their offspring as well. And the lighter skin tones were being selected for in this less intense, solar climate.
Yeah. Well,
and over generations and generations, people move north, and eventually you have people with very, very, very light skin tones, to the point where they even their hair is light and their eyes are light, just to absorb as much sunlight as possible, because the only way people can survive.
The guys like Kirk Cameron would take that argument and say, well, that's micro evolution. We're talking about macro evolution.
Yeah.
And
people like Kirk Cameron I would want to smack in the face,
Yeah.
because it's just you're moving the goalposts. You're saying, oh yeah, I acknowledge evolution exists for the short period of time while you explain something that is so undeniably true that I would look like an asshole for not agreeing with you. But then I'm just going to go around and say that it doesn't go beyond some arbitrary point.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but you mean that whole process of just skin tone, like that occurs in the blink of an eye as far as geological time goes.
Yeah, I mean that you're talking about human beings alone. The human species, Homo sapiens, has been around for almost 200,000 years, and the diversity of skin tone itself only took about 40,000 years.
Yeah, a blink of an eye, just a sliver of time, geologically speaking. And now we're talking
probably
about
way less than
billions
that.
of
'Cause,
years.
I mean, even 10,000 years ago, we had, generally speaking, all of the skin tones that exist today. Like, I mean, a blink of an eye, that's nothing. That's nothing. That's not. I mean, there's no speciation, but at the same time, you have a rampant diversification of traits. And if people continue to be isolated, if say people moved into Europe and then were suddenly utterly and totally cut off from the rest of the world, say, Europe fell into the ocean and no one found them again for 2 million years, those people would most likely be a different species than the rest of the human race.
And you would that geological event would cause a speciation to occur, and then you would have what Gould described as punctuated equilibrium. There'd be new environmental pressures cause new changes, new species would emerge, they would reach stability, punctuated equilibrium. That's how it happened. I think about the eyes again, and about how like those other animals can see outside of what we think of the visible spectrum. Like if we're God's perfect creatures with our eyes, like we got gypped. Like I want the mantis shrimp eyes. That would be awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean we got screwed.
Because he's doing it better than we ever could.
Yeah, I mean they have humans have one pupil in each of their eyes. Mantis shrimp has 3.
Yeah, right. Seeing in all directions.
They
that would have been
see
handy.
in all directions. Their depth perception is incredible.
So what does 3D movies look like to them?
I don't know. It's always a 3D movie.
Always a 3D. Like a 3D movie they would be bored with it. It would be so boring because everything they see is so much more complex.
Watch your tongue, boy.
Yeah, I know. Well, just saying, we need 6 cameras on each of us.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like our eyes aren't even that good.
No, we have a huge blind spot because the way our optic nerve goes right through the back of the retina.
Yeah,
it's an awful design.
Yeah, so
I'm sorry. Like if humanity is was the last thing God created and it was supposed to be His ultimate creation, He was tired and did a fucking hack job, man. Like he was looking around at the parts he had left and was like, oh god, these eyes didn't turn out quite right, but we'll use that. And all I have are these rib cages with these xiphoid processes. I mean, sure, if it breaks off, it'll stab them right through the heart and kill them, but it's all
whatever,
I got.
that'll be fine.
And I have this weird thing at the end of the colon that, I mean, it might swell up and kill them, but we'll use that. And what about these these jaws that have 4 extra teeth in them that might get abscessed and also kill them. Well, we'll use them all anyway.
Yeah.
I could go on for hours about all the things that are wrong with the human body. It's a poorly designed machine.
we can just talk about all the things that are wrong with my human body, because the list is long.
It's utter nonsense. Like, ignoring rampant disease and genetic diseases alone.
Well, so do you think we should offer an invitation for Why Not to have
Bring
their
us
say?
pizza?
Why not pizza? Welcome to Florida, guys. Why not pizza? I'd like to see where their genetic experience comes from and what they do.
Yeah, I'd love it. I would love to
I'll probably
hear
be
what,
like,
what
I
genetics
feel like a real
work in,
ass if I
because
find out they're like some Harvard genetics professor, but whatever.
There's no way. I just by listening to the
I feel like a
semantics.
dick.
Yeah, just by listening to the semantics. I mean, either they're trolling, or But I feel like it's not a Poe's law thing. This person actually is just posting anonymously on the internet saying that they're a geneticist.
Maybe. But that's why I like that piques my interest. I'd like to know, like, are they really that small minority of people who work in the biological sciences that don't accept evolution? Maybe.
I mean, yeah, it's absurd to think that they could possibly actually work in genetics.
Maybe there'll be a comment tomorrow. That would be funny.
That would be fantastic.
So
That would be
a geneticist spare time is listening to our podcast.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
pretty awesome.
I know, right?
I believe that.
I know, right? Yeah, a Harvard genetics professor is probably going to listen to us for 5 minutes and like, oh, these clowns.
Yeah.
Hey, I make no claims that I.
But what? See, here's the thing, though.
I'm not a scientist.
If that guy shows up and has something to add to the conversation, or something that's relevant or truthful, or like that we need to stand corrected upon, I'm down for it, right? That's the self-correcting nature of science that I like. I want to be corrected. I want to know better.
Yeah, no.
If I can let the lesson begin.
I'm a science enthusiast. I love science, but science is hard. I don't play at pretending like I understand hard science, but I can recognize bullshit when I see it. Unlike many creationists.
What was that soundbite where the guy says, "You've got a degree in baloney"? I think it was from Futurama.
I think it was Futurama.
You've got a degree in baloney, sir.
Wasn't it like a degree in like naturopathy or something?
Yeah.
From the Feel Good Institute of, like, you've got a degree in baloney.
Yeah.
Oh God. Speaking of baloney,
there's lots of it out there.
You're no longer-
yeah. So this is from actually last month. North Carolina legislators were trying to argue that the state has the right to declare an official religion.
It's about time.
I actually kind of want them to do it, because then it will go to court and get shot down.
I mean, but yeah.
The Supreme, and that's kind of the. Didn't the Civil War decide that that's how it works? Like the state has its right to do things, but then the federal government supersedes what the state says.
Well, the thing that pisses me off about the argument is they elevate the state to be some entity that is like the ultimate be-all end-all on the receiving end of these rights. That the federal, the First Amendment, the Establishment Clause, exists to protect the state. The Establishment Clause does not exist to protect the state. The Establishment Clause exists to protect the people.
Yeah, from the state.
Like, from the state. And it drives me nuts, because the Establishment Clause exists so that governments, be it state or federal, cannot go in and force people to adhere to a specific religion.
Yeah. How did all those people get elected in North Carolina? How did that happen?
Oh,
I think
it
people
blows
in
my
North Carolina are
mind.
going to get pissed off, and those guys will be thrown out the next election. I can only hope.
No.
That is probably the most reprehensible piece of legislation I've seen in the news in a long time. That is just awful. Because
Yeah, it's definitely up there. It's up there, and given, if you're gonna specifically talk about church-state conflicts, this is definitely the worst. I mean, a state utterly trying to, like, push its agenda onto its people. You have these religious blowhards who, it's not good enough for them to have their own faith. Whatever religion anyone is, I don't give a shit. Like, I don't care what your religion is. You have the right to do whatever you want with your own beliefs. You do not, however, have the right to force other people to adhere to your beliefs.
So on a related note with that, what is your take on the Texas cheerleaders that are now allowed to write the Bible verses on the banners before football games?
Ugh.
Because it's very similar. I mean, it's in the same ballpark at least.
It is. I mean, it's another thing.
Yeah, my feeling
When
is that
school club. I don't know. It's
so, like my take on it is that if Sally wants to write Bible verses on a banner and have her boyfriend Billy Bob run through it at the beginning of the game, awesome. Go ahead and do that. More power to you. But when Sally puts on that school uniform and when Billy Bob puts on that school uniform, they represent the school, they represent the public, they represent the local government. And that is when their free speech becomes government speech.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, and it's a weird concept because you have minors who are acting as representatives of a public institution, and so long as that school is receiving state or federal tax money, it can't. They simply can't do that.
I know how to solve that problem too. Show up and have Quran verses on your banner.
Oh yeah, no, people would
see how far that would go.
People would blow up. It would be all over the news. People would be up in arms if you had a Quran verse, or a verse from the Bhagavad Gita, or any other book that's not the Bible.
Yeah, do that right.
People would be
Something other than the
pissed.
Bible, they would fucking lose their minds.
No, it would be a shitstorm in Texas. And I mean that right there. That's the outsider test for faith. Like, is it okay for you to do it? Well, what if someone else did it? Is it okay for them? No, then it's not okay for you. Like,
right. And one of the things about that Texas decision too was that the judge just made the decision. He didn't reference any precedent or previous cases or anything. He just ruled.
yeah.
And he ruled in favor of the cheerleaders. So now the school's moving forward and doing it. And so that's why I would love to see someone show up with a Quran verse on a Bible. Like, get one of those cheerleaders. That's what they should do. If one of the cheerleaders, if somebody in that school objects to it, show up with a Quran verse on a banner and get the football players to run through that. I double dog dare you.
Yeah. I would love to see something like a flying spaghetti monster.
Yeah,
verse.
that'd be great.
Like a Pastafarian verse on a banner to and get them to run through that. There's no way. There's no way. It would not fly. And that right there is where you can draw the line and call it bullshit. Like, it's not protected speech. It's not.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. If Sally wants to write it on the banner and get her boyfriend Billy Bob to run through it, great. They have every right to do so. But when they put on those uniforms and become representatives of the school, it's no longer their free speech. Their free speech becomes government speech.
Yeah, exactly. It becomes representative of the school itself, which is a public institution.
Yeah, I wonder if that. I wonder if they're going to appeal that decision, because I know the suit was brought by the Freedom from Religion Foundation, yay, and they may seek an appeal. I don't know. I don't even know if they can. But that was justice gone awry. Which it made me think of just a minute ago. So, did you see that? Speaking of the flying spaghetti monster, did you see that there was a small Cthulhu conference in, I think it was in San Jose or Santa Cruz or something, and Robert M. Price showed up to deliver the Sunday Cthulhu prayer breakfast?
I did not, but I assumed he would.
There's video of it. It's hilarious. This guy's great. He's awesome.
Yeah, no. I mean, anything price related or Cthulhu related. I mean, that's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
I've seen pictures of him doing other stuff like that, where he does a lot of the Lovecraft conventions, and I mean, not only is he
in the video, he's wearing the big funny like Pope hat, but it's got like Cthulhu symbols all over it. It's pretty cool. That's what I want to see on the banner. I want to see less Bible verses and more Cthulhu.
Something
prayers.
from the Necronomicon.
Yeah, right. That'd be great.
When you can get the football players to run through a giant banner that says Lingli Maglula Brilliant Nakpatagan, then it'll be protected speech.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. But not until then. I'm sorry. Like, this is just the argument they use, and I guarantee this is the argument they use. They said, it's the kids' free speech to do it, and kind of play it like if you're telling them they can't do it, then you are, fighting a war. You're waging a war on Christianity. You're waging a war on Christianity.
That Christian persecution that goes on.
Yeah.
Oh God, I can't. Yeah, no one is persecuting the Christians. They're free to do as they see fit. Their religion is protected. No one is taking it away.
Protected, but predominant. What, 70% of Americans identify as Christian? 70 some odd percent, I should say.
Yeah, they were. I saw another article that I had sort of kicked around. The idea of talking about, it was about Christian persecution and how like they just man, Christians just love those persecution stories, man. They just love to be persecuted, even if they're not.
Yeah. I mean, it's a persecution complex, and it goes back to ancient Rome. They have. Christians for years have trumped up charges of persecution against them.
But they weren't actually fed to the lions.
Yeah, which never happened. Historically speaking, Christians experienced a very small number of very short persecutions at the hands of a handful of Caesars. By and large, and I mean, really, like, you're talking about 1 year here, another year there. But, I mean, even a lot of the church fathers almost never talk about it. I wrote a paper on the fact that when most people go to Tacitus and they use this verse about Nero, just killing Christians and essentially reveling in like just fucking hating Christians,
bathing in their blood.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, because no one talks about that until the 15th century. I mean, this is a very, very old piece of literature. You're talking, first, second century era, late first or early second century. I mean, he was a first century Roman statesman and historian. no one, no one mentions it. None of the church fathers ever mention Nero persecuting Christians.
Which you think would be a big topic if it really
It would be a
happened.
huge topic, especially considering that Tacitus was a statesman. He's not just Joe Schmo historian. He was one of the most prolific historians in Rome. He wrote, between the annals and the histories, he documented just everything. But no one mentions it until the 15th century. I mean, that raises an eyebrow.
Yeah. So, you mentioned those numbers about what percentage of people are Christian and all that, but did you read the article that I sent you about how those numbers are falling? And and what the church is doing to get them back?
Yes. They're falling very, very quickly. 25% of millennials.
Right, one in four
irreligious.
is a nun.
Yeah,
And that's a lot of topic. If you listen to a lot of the, sort of religious podcasts or critical thinking podcasts, anything that they're just simply referred to as the nuns.
Yeah. I mean, they're not necessarily atheists.
It's all from
not
that Pew
necessarily
Research
agnostics.
Foundation.
They could be people with
survey.
loosey-goosey spirituality, or unaffiliated people who embrace the general idea of Christianity, but are utterly disgusted by organized religion.
Right.
Which is fine, I guess.
They'll read a science book or two. They'll come around.
They'll come around. It's fine. It's a path.
Yeah.
To not being, I don't know, not just completely not understanding the world.
But that's a handy
but
statistic to keep in your back pocket. 1 in 4 is a nun.
1 in 4, which is still kind of actually less than the gross number of nuns in places like New Zealand, which I believe is 1 in 3.
Even
But
better.
and that's the average. But no, it's telling because it's twice the rate of the baby boomers.
Yeah. Well, that was, but that's a different generation, and now they're saying that it's the influence of the millennials that's skewing those numbers more and more to the nuns. And
I mean,
not N-U-N.
people who are non-religious tend to have children who are non-religious. So as these nuns get older, as the millennials get older and they start having children of their own, they're going to be having, most likely, more nuns.
Well, isn't that what Dawkins says too, is that your religion is largely determined by who your parents were?
Yeah, it's almost absolutely determined by who your parents were. If I was born in Pakistan, chances of me being an atheist are almost nil.
Right. And so, that's sort of I see that sentiment expressed a lot as, we're all born atheists. We're indoctrinated into our religion from that moment forward, but up until then, everybody's born an atheist.
Have you seen the picture of there's a picture of a baby being baptized, and the baby's face is just awestruck and like, oh my God, what the fuck's happening to me? And the caption says, oh my God, no, I'm an atheist.
That's funny.
I mean, hey, everyone is born an atheist. But yeah, no, I really like this article you sent to me because I love the picture of the church in Brooklyn that was putting up the bus ads of it's a man in a robe with some dirty Chuck Taylors peeking out the bottom. It says the original hipster.
Yeah.
Implying that Jesus was the original hipster.
I just love those. I love those pictures of hipster Jesus or breakdancing Jesus.
Yeah, no, it's great.
But who are they trying to reach out to? Who the fuck wants to be a hipster?
They are trying
that's the thing that the article says. It says that it's really funny that they do this because they seem to have not realized that the term hipster is almost always a derogatory term.
Yeah.
you might as well call him a hepcat or a flyboy. Like, it's so ridiculously out of touch. It's reaching at its worst.
What were you, it was either maybe you or Matt or somebody was talking about that look of those sort of like modern evangelical super hip preachers with the
tattoos and
the designer shirts and sandals and ripped up jeans and blonde tips in their hair.
Yeah.
And fucking dude.
Bobby from King of the Hill got caught up with him.
Ah, that's terrible.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the King of the Hill. You're not making rock music better. You're not making church better. You're making rock music worse. That's amazing. I actually watched that episode really recently on Netflix. And,
Yeah.
I love it.
That's hilarious.
I love it. It's true though. I mean, they're reaching. They realize that tradition isn't working to put seats in the pews. You know, younger people nowadays, thanks to the internet, are more into ideas of social justice and. I
can't wait until they start coming out with violent video games to give away, something.
Yeah.
Like, because the Army did that. The Army made video games that you could download for free from the website, and it was a first-person shooter, Call of Duty style, but not as good.
Not as
good.
Military
they
unit
don't have the budget.
Yeah. Game. So it's only a matter of time before the Christians to start putting out violent video games to get kids.
I would expect the military to put out the best violent video games.
You think it would be good?
$400 billion a year budget, they would be able to do something.
Yeah. Now I love those hipster preachers that are just trying to be too cool for school and I love and I've seen this, and the article points it out too. It was in Alternet or something that article was from, but how they take all of those trappings of hip and now and cool, and all it's doing is obfuscating the same old misogyny and homophobia and all the same conservative values. They're just trying to hide it under this hip veneer.
Yeah, well, there was the magazine Revolve, which
Revolve.
Oh, Revolve. They said
it tried
RuPaul.
to be a kind of like 17, but it had features like "Are you dating a godly guy?" And apparently it kind of like it got some attention from the media, but the article kind of jokes about the fact that there's no indication that actual teen girls ever paid attention to the magazine.
Nobody cares.
And the Facebook page for the magazine only has 1 like on it, and apparently it's now defunct.
That's just while still holding on to those Christian values, I just find it hard to believe that they can talk out of both sides of their mouth and say like no, we love people who are gay. We're not against gay people. We're just against that gay lifestyle. What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah. Well, are you talking about Josh Weed?
Well, he's just the guy that they bring up as an example. Like the guy's like,
Yeah.
I'm gay, but I'm married to a woman. then you're going to live a very sad life, sir.
Yeah.
Why would you even do that to yourself? I mean, why would you do that? Why are you so hell-bent to follow this God that you would deny everything that God created about you so you could live a lie? Which you're not supposed to do if you're a Christian, but why?
Well, I mean, have you? It's kind of funny. Have you seen the? There are a lot of very funny protest signs against the Westboro Baptist Church. Who, Jason, I know you're very buddy with them.
Yeah.
They're over for dinner every Tuesday.
I don't know. I ran into you talking
Tuesday's
to
a
them on the
religious
street
day.
one time, but one of my favorites was, if God really hates gay people, why is he making so many of us? It's if God has this perfect design and we're supposed to be his favorite creations, he seems to be letting us slide down a nasty thing. I mean, what happened to the idea of a fallen world and blah blah.
But
blah,
that's
blah.
that's part of the
But-
plan. That's what
Yeah.
that's the plan they put in place.
Yeah, but
That's
again, all of those strict biblical literalist criticisms of homosexuality, it's all just cherry picking, and Jesus really didn't have anything to say about it. So why is
He
everybody
said
upset?
0 things about it.
And so, right, and he had other things to say, but they ignore those, and then they got to focus on people being gay. So I don't get what the big deal is, and I don't see why they're so upset. And I just can't get the hypocrisy and the audacity of this not of this world movement where they say like, oh, it's okay, we like gay people. It's just we object to that gay lifestyle. What does that mean?
It's like we like gay people. We have a camp for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a camp for them. That's the
yeah.
best. And we'll teach them to be someone they're not.
Or beat them and starve them until they die,
Yeah.
which has happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3
I
times.
mean, that's yeah,
At
and
least.
it's that kind of thing right there where it's the intolerance, and they dress up their intolerances as, we're not hating, we don't hate gays, we just hate homosexuality.
It's like they say,
But
we don't
any-
hate the people, we hate the sin.
Yeah, exactly. But the second anyone ever down talks Christianity as a belief, it's persecution.
Right. I have to be free to
The one
hate,
thing I have to
man.
say
I have
about
to be
the
free to
idea
hate.
of Christian persecution, atheists viciously attacking Christians. Oh my God.
The war on Christmas.
Christians ought be thankful for the fact that we, as atheists, have never treated them the way they have historically treated us.
No, that's very true. But I think that well, you can't say that. It's just, historically, the percentage of atheists has been very, very, very small.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say the nuns. Let's say people who are nuns.
Yeah.
In the U.S., you're talking about it's closing on 20%. Almost 1 in 5 now. People are a nun.
No, 1 in 4 are a nun.
Well, 1 in 4 millennials are a nun.
All right. Okay.
1 in 5 of the gross population.
Gotcha.
I mean, that's huge. I mean, 20% makes it the second largest single grouping of people behind Catholics. And
Right.
Catholics are 1 in 4. So it's not even that big of a jump. Baptists are less than. And there will be the day when there are more nuns than there are somethings.
Yeah, but I would like to think that if the time comes when the non-believers and the nuns become the majority, that that majority will be nuns because of critical thinking and free thought, and realize that however misguided someone may be thought to be, that it's their right to have their religious belief.
And when you say the nuns,
No,
you're not talking about
absolutely.
penguin ladies.
Right. N-O-N-E, not N-U-N.
Not NUNs, no.
I see a lot of people that I used to sort of sad but true, but I see a lot of people that I used to respect, and I just don't anymore because they say some asinine things about religion. Like there was a person I knew, and I always thought they were, I don't know, had more going on in between their ears, and then they make some asinine comment about God or something like that, and I'm just like, oh no.
I know.
No,
And
no.
it's fine when people believe things. I get it. Like, the world is a giant and scary place, and it's comforting to have a belief that you're special. is as misguided as I believe it is. I get it, and it's your right to believe whatever you want. If you want to believe that the Earth popped into existence out of a popcorn kernel floating around in space that was heated up in a giant God microwave, that's your right.
Sounds
if you want
legit.
to believe that, I mean, yeah, exactly. You know, if you want to believe the entire universe was sneezed into existence,
Yeah.
that's your right.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and I've always said
but-
that. I've always sort of defended people's.
Yeah, I'm trying to touch on the fact that I've always defended people's right to believe whatever they want.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to touch on is the fact that Christians tend to have these persecution complexes where they jump straight to the idea that they're being horrifically attacked and viciously treated when they're not. You know, Christians aren't being persecuted. It's a simple fact of the world. And I mean, I know some jackass is gonna pop on YouTube and be like, "Oh, I know a Christian
Yeah.
who lives in Pakistan and he fears for his life every day."
Oh,
I'm not
yeah.
talking about Pakistan. I'm talking about right here in the United States. I'm talking about the U.S. and Canada and England and France and Italy.
You know, it's funny you mentioned Pakistan there because isn't it illegal to be an atheist in Pakistan?
I believe it is.
That is a
Yeah.
punishable offense in Pakistan. Being a Christian is not, although you may be persecuted. But clearly, if you're an atheist, you're breaking the law.
Yeah, and I mean, Islam traditionally has treated Christians better than Christians have traditionally treated Muslims. Not much better, but slightly.
Small degrees of difference.
Yeah, yeah. A second-class citizen rather than being burned at the stake. You know, I mean.
Yeah.
Whereas atheists have always kind of got the shit end of the stick on that one. But I mean, but that's the thing, you know, when you want to talk about religious persecution, you better not be the one with the long history of religious persecution.
Yeah.
You know, I'm from Massachusetts originally. Like,
Burn 'em,
if
Massachusetts.
anyone knows about religious persecution, it's someone from Massachusetts who grew up learning all the stories of the Puritans,
Yeah.
who escaped England because they were being persecuted, only to come to the New World and persecute people. Until 1996, it was legal to shoot Rhode Islanders when they crossed the border. You know why? Because Roger Williams was exiled from Massachusetts for not being a Puritan.
You know what you'll be shot for now? Not wrapping
What?
up the show.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I was actually just looking at the clock. Yeah, you're right. We have too much to
Oh,
talk
how
about.
time flies.
So you want to take it out, or you want me to take it out, or you want Bob to take it out?
I don't know.
Jason, why don't you take it out?
You want me to take it out?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. We're glad to be back. As always, if you have any comments, suggestions, or just want to yell at us, our number is 757-337-2195. Call us.
I urge why not to contact us.
Yeah, you should totally
I urge
call
you,
us.
Please.
Or you can leave comments on this video, whether you're watching it on YouTube, on Zombie Popcorn. You can leave comments or spaces. We read them all the time. We try to incorporate your questions and comments on.
Please say nice things about my pop filter.
Yes, definitely. We try to incorporate those into the show. We also have a contact page section on our website, zombiepopcorn.com. So go check that out. Find us on Stitcher. Find us on iTunes. Find us on Facebook. We're pretty much everywhere the kids are because we're hip, like Christian.
We're hip, like a hip.
I'm going to wear my Birkenstocks next week.
Shit, I'm barefoot now. I'm totally hip. But anyway, thanks for hanging out with us for this hour. We'll be back again next week. Enjoy. Let us know what you think. And party on, Wayne.
Party on,
Party
dog.
on.
Bye.